Welcome to the Ghost Show online, my fiends, booze, and ghouls. Your hosts, Seika Groves, Rachel Benter, and Ian Russell will discuss all things paranormal. Prepare to be afraid.
Hey everybody, how are ya? Welcome back to the Ghost Show. We had a long summer hiatus, and yes, it's November. Just got really busy. A lot of things happened, and had some things happen on my side that, obviously couldn't allow me to be here. Ian is here with us today. Hey Ian, good to see you again.
Hi everybody. Good to see
And
all of you again too.
Yes, and we're waiting for Rachel. She is going to be with us today. She was just had a phone call she had to take. So she will be popping in as we move along. So today's show, usually we like to pick a topic ahead of time, and it was a little bit funny this week because we decided, hey, let's get back to the show. And we didn't really have a topic, and then one dropped in my lap. And I've shared this with Ian and Rachel, and I haven't shared it out on the internet at this point because I wanted us to talk about it here first before I put it out there for other people to comment. So when the show's ready, we put it up on YouTube. You guys can go up and check on the YouTube channel, and you can give us your opinion on what we're going to see today. So without further ado, let's have a look at what we're going to talk about, and then we will start chatting. So I want to pull up this image, so bear with me. I'm going to share the screen so that everybody can see it, and we can get an idea of what we're looking at. So Ian, you can see this image, yes?
Yes.
All right, so everybody else out there will be able to see the image. And we will post it as well in the final edit so that it's there so people can see it. So I was talking to a friend last week, and she asked me what my opinion was on this image that she had. And I have obviously blocked out the face of the person who is standing in the image just for privacy reasons. But this is an odd picture for me. I'm looking at this, and I've shared it with my husband, and he's a photographer and usually analyzes all of the unusual, video and photos and things that we get and we look at, or, we happen to take ourselves. This one stumps me. Like, what do you think, Ian? I mean, I know I showed it to you and you were sort of the same.
I know when I first saw this photo last week when you shared it, the very first thing that I thought was that it's maybe some kind of a reflection, but it isn't. It's not a reflection. If you really look at this, that is a solid anomaly. And as you say, your husband is a professional photographer, and there are so many photographs out there that people start screaming, "Oh, ghost, paranormal, blah, blah, blah." And when you look at those photos, if you have any kind of photography sense or photography background, you can debunk 99% of those photographs
Pretty quickly.
But this one is different. This one is different. And as you say, your professional photographer husband has no reasonable explanation to what that is.
When you look at this, I mean, when I first looked at it, I did exactly the same thing. I looked for the light source, and we can see that the light source is on the right-hand side coming in through a window, most likely sunlight. This is what it appears to be. But at the same time, if you look at the photo, you can see where the sun is directly hitting everything. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You can pick up the reflections behind the subject who's standing in the picture. You can see the fireplace is going. So you can see that light you can see the fire in the fireplace.
Yes.
And then
yeah.
you see the reflection on the glass of the fireplace. It's a gas fireplace. So it has a glass front. You can see that. You can look behind and you can see the light reflecting off of what's ever behind her on the counter there, or on that, whatever it is, sideboard. And
Yeah.
you see a lot of regular light. You can see in the picture behind her, the painting, the light reflecting off the glass, etc. It's really, really odd that we cannot find a source for this big ball of light on the floor on the right-hand side. It doesn't make any sense physically in terms of the photograph itself.
Well, what I see when I look at this picture, not being able to debunk, any kind of reflection or anything like that, I see a dog.
And that's what they said too. They thought it was a dog. They said, I think it's a dog. And when I asked my friend, did you have a dog? She's like, no, but her daughter, who is in this photo, had a dog previously. So she was of the thought that it was the spirit of the dog. I'm on the fence of whether it's a dog or not, but I can see that by the shape, the size, sort of the location, that it could very easily be a spirit of a dog, because it's not human sized. It's too big to be a cat or some other type of animal.
But it sure looks like a dog. I mean, I can see the shape of the head. I can see one of the floppy ears, like on a hound dog. You can see the front legs. It sure looks like a ghost of a dog to me.
Really interesting because it has such hard lines on the top, as opposed to the bottom, which is a little bit softer and glowy, and you get a bit of radiant light that you get, but it's got such a hard outline and it's completely opaque. It's not translucent like all the other light in the room. You can see where it's hitting points. Sunlight, when it hits something, you'll have that hard refraction or reflection, but usually then it'll sort of radiate out and you won't get, a hard edge like that. And there's nothing on the floor there. You can't even see the bottom of the fireplace through it.
That's correct. That's right. Yeah.
Really, really odd. I find it such an unusual anomaly, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely unusual and something that is difficult to debunk. It just is, to me, one of those photos that possibly did capture an actual paranormal phenomena. Interestingly enough, she said she took 3 pictures in a row as well, and this is the only one where this shows up in the image.
Right.
So
right.
It again is one of those, WTF moments that, you sit back and you go, okay, how do you begin to debunk this when all of the ways that you normally do it don't have any answers for it?
Well, in my opinion, then if you can't debunk it, as a paranormal investigator, a paranormal researcher, I'm going to go with that. This photo is an absolutely authentic paranormal capture,
and I don't see very many of them, so it's kind of an exciting.
It is.
right?
It is.
And
As we say, 99% of photographs can be debunked.
right,
And
without
when you've got
issue.
a picture like this where there's no explanation, you've almost got to go with the paranormal.
Right. And she showed me the other photos. So it's 3 photos in succession. Her daughter was standing. She took the pictures, click, click, click. And again, this does not show up in the other 2. So, and her daughter didn't move. Like if you literally look at the 3 pictures, and what I'll do is I'll perhaps ask her to send me the other ones so that we have them, and we can put them side by side. But when we look at them, there's just no explaining how this happened
Right.
with a light reflection or some kind of anomaly with a cell phone, right? Because, I mean, cell phones are already kind of, spurious in terms of their abilities to capture, but they're what most people use today because they're readily handy and available. And again, I've seen orbs, I've seen things like that happen with cell phones, and it is, light reflection, bugs, dust, all of these types of things. And I mean, this is the same with an SLR camera too, right? If you're taking a shot with an SLR,
Right.
you can still get all of those things, but
Oh, sure.
it's just with this one, it's just so unusual, and in a way that, again, like looking at it, I can't get past the opaque nature. It has no, you can't see through it. It's
Yeah.
a solid object.
Yeah.
And
I keep looking at it, and yeah, I have no explanation other than this could be very well a legitimate paranormal capture of
right.
a ghost animal. Yeah.
Or something, a ghostly something. But again, too, it's, we invite people to look at this photo and give us your thoughts on it, because, a lot of times we don't have a completely interactive show, right? Because we're talking about a location or an experience or something that we've gone through. But with photographs, it's kind of a really good way to open the discussion for people. And, we could be inviting all kinds of comments, and, we're not against that. But at the same time, I really want people to look at this and think about, what may have caused this. Is there some sort of physical reason for this happening? Is there something that we're not seeing? I've seen so many photos over the years. I'm I'm not going to say I'm completely an expert at it, but there's very little that I miss when I'm looking at a photograph for the ability to be able to debunk it. Because first and foremost, I'm not going to believe that it's a spirit just because I do this. I want to look at it from both a metaphysical, medium, psychic side of things, but I also want to look at it from a science side of things. And, we can readily jump to the conclusion that it's a ghost or, a spirit or an orb. But in the case of this one, I just can't get past the hard lines.
Yeah.
Reflections don't have lines like this. Not when every other reflection in the room is not reacting in the same manner.
Right.
And that's what throws me. Like, I asked my friend, is there anything on the floor there that could be that reflective? There's nothing there. So there's nothing on the floor. There's no vase. There's no, shiny object of any sort that would reflect in this way.
And
But
especially if it does not appear in the other 2 photographs.
right, exactly. And, that is always something that to me is evidence unto itself as well. Sure, something could happen. Maybe the sun got, maybe it was a little bit cloudy. And then suddenly the sun breaks out from behind the clouds and you get this, hard ray of light that shines through the front window and hits something in between a succession of photos. It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen.
It could happen, but it sure doesn't look like it to me when I look at this.
If a ray of light was coming through sunlight, it would hit the floor and stream across the floor as sunbeams do.
It would, yes.
If there's something reflective there that it's going to hit, you're going to see that, that hard point of light where it hits, but then it's going to refract and reflect off of it. And you're going to get that softness and that glow, and you're going to be able to see the object that it's reflecting off of. I mean, a mirror might be something questionable if there was a mirror there and the sun was, blasting into the mirror, but there's no mirror there and it doesn't even look like a mirror.
I mean, the only thing that's there is you can see there's a framed photograph hanging on the wall.
Yes.
Behind the person.
Yes.
And you can see that there is no sunlight or anything reflecting off of the glass in the frame.
No, and
that would then bounce back towards the camera lens.
Right, exactly. But again, she's standing there. So even that behind her, you can see what appears to be, and it's hard to tell, some metal glassware, something along that on a sideboard. That's still not going to create that reflection in front of her. She's there blocking that.
If there was a reflection, she'd be blocking it.
Exactly. So it's just really, really odd that this, is such a solid form of light. And then it has some odd little dark spots on it, which are also kind of undeterminable, but also odd in their own.
Well, as I say, it looks to me like it's a dog, maybe like a black and white dog, and that's where maybe the dark spots come from. Is the dog had these, black patches on its floppy ears.
Mm-hmm. And looking at the light in front of it, like there's also sort of a trailing, ball of light that comes down and reflects onto the floor.
Yeah.
So how weird is that? I mean, it's reflecting on the floor. Like you can even see the shape itself is somewhat reflecting on the shiny surface of the floor.
It is. Yeah. Is it right beneath it? Yeah.
That's so weird. It's just one of those unusual things that, we can talk about this probably for hours and try to debunk it. And I mean, that's really, what I want to do. I want to debunk it. I want to say, hey, it happened because this was there. And look, you can see the lights reflecting off of it. And, we can say with some certainty that this is what's creating it, but we can't. And I know that we can't see anything beyond in the photograph, beyond this frame. Behind her, you can see that there is a potted plant behind her on the edge of the fireplace, or it appears to be a potted plant to me. I don't have my glasses on.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can see behind her, right? So there is something there. Now, if there was something on the other side of the fireplace, but we've got about a third of the fireplace missing. So even if there was an object over on the other side, balancing out on either side of the fireplace, it still doesn't explain this. And, if there was something there that was reflecting the light, it again would be more on the floor, I think, than it would be sort of knee height, which is what this looks like.
Yeah.
At the height of the knee of the person in the photo. So it's just so bizarre. I mean, I love it at the same time as, I'm like, this is one of those pictures where I don't know that we'll really ever know what created that. And that's interesting because it's not often that we come across that.
Yeah. Well, as I say, and as you've said,
Mhm.
there's no founding evidence to this.
No.
So as I say, I'm going with the explanation that this is actually a ghost animal.
Yeah.
What's your take on do you believe in spirit animals or
I mean, certainly anything that's living can certainly, and the energy is there. So there's no reason why it can't be in the, afterlife, the possibility of manifestation into something that we can see. The other interesting thing though is here's something. When she was taking the photo, she didn't see anything there. So
right?
she didn't see this with her own eyes. This turned up after the fact. So it's one of those photos where you're standing there in the room and you're not aware of anything being there. And then you take these photographs and then they show up. So that's something interesting too, because why is it that the camera is able to pick it up, but we are not able to perceive it being there? Now, I wasn't there, so maybe if I was there, I might feel its presence. I might
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, there is something here. But to physically see it manifest, not likely. I mean, how many of us have actually really seen a manifestation? That's pretty rare,
Right,
right?
right.
So,
Well, I've got a couple of instances where I believe I have encountered animal ghosts. Here at home, we have cats, and we lost one of them. Oh, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago now, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I will be in the kitchen at the sink washing dishes or whatever. And when I do that, one of our cats that we still have here today, he loves to come up and rub up against my ankle as I'm standing there at the counter. And this every now and again, I'll be washing dishes and I'll feel the cat
mhm.
rub up against my ankle and thinking it's my other cat. I look down, nothing there.
Yeah, I have that too. Like my dogs, I've had I've had that over the years with one small dog that I had. He used to get under my feet all the time. And every once in a while I'll feel that. And then when my beagle passed, I still think I see her every once in a while lying on the rug in the kitchen by the door. And, it's just she's there. And then I look and I see her. But then when I look back, she's gone. And it's one of those, is it just in my mind's eye? I'm not really thinking about her at the time,
Mhm.
but it's one of those things. Rachel was just trying to join us, so I'm just going to let her in.
Okay.
Let's let her into the conversation because it'll be interesting to catch her opinion on this as well. Because again, as I say, Ian, you're the techie guy, right? You're the one who goes out and handles the equipment and does all that. I come from sort of the mediumship slash
Yeah.
side, but I'm also involved in science and so I come from that. And Rachel, hey, hello.
There's Rachel.
Here we
Hello
are.
there.
It's so great to be back.
Thank you. Yeah, and glad that you're here. So we've been talking about this photo, right? And I know that we sort of shared this with each other, and Ian and I have been talking about it and discussing
I love it.
our thoughts on it. And so what do you think? What do you think about this?
All right. As a psychic medium, I'm instantly going to go into the spiritual side of it, I think. I definitely feel like it's the spirit of a dog. That's what I'm seeing. It's like a small Jack Russell type of dog. Are you getting that too, Seika? I mean, my husband argued. He said that he felt like there was some sort of light fraction and there was light coming through a window. But I'm not picking that up.
There is light obviously coming through a window because you can see
we're very aware of that.
on
Yes, she has
the
such glowing,
individual there in the photo.
glossy.
But there's not like what Seika and I have been talking about. is that there is not enough substantial light source coming in through the window to create that
A
anomaly.
A solid anomaly,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, and that's
Yes.
right. I mean, I love this that we have this photo and we're able to discuss this. And of course, opinions are going to vary. And as I was saying before you joined us, Ian is the techie guy. He doesn't really
Yes.
experience the spirits in the way that we do, but he has, the knowledge and ability to look at a photograph coming from an editing background and video and film. And so he's going to know. My husband looked at it. He's a photographer. He's also a videographer and all. Same thing. Now I looked at it and I'm automatically thinking there's got to be a light source for this. There's got to be something that's created.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we blow up the picture and we look at it. It's opaque. It's solid. There, as we were just, light, when light comes in a window and hits something, it reflects. So you get those hard reflection, but then you get this refraction or this spreading of a softer glow around an object. And this has hard edges along most of it. But what we were looking at and talking about before you joined us is the light ball that appears off of the ear. You can see it reflecting on it's reflecting on the floor.
It's wild.
It's like it's literally.
As I said to you before, logistically, I can't, I can't debunk it, but spiritually, I can explain it.
Right. And that's
I think I truly believe that our pets, even when they pass away, I truly believe they follow us on the other side.
And we were talking about that,
that
when your pet passes and, you might be standing at the sink or you're in the kitchen or something, you feel it, brushing against your legs, or you have this moment of, you might actually see it, there with you. But
I have another example of that.
Okay.
Talking about animal ghosts of, your dearly departed pets. Okay. So yes, the example with the sink and washing dishes and I feel my cat rub against my leg. I look down, there's nothing there. I was on a paranormal investigation earlier this year, and of course, being on an investigation, we had the equipment set up. So here comes the tech part of this, not just standing at the sink.
Right.
That we were in the Myrtleville House Museum in Brantford.
Oh, okay.
Doing an investigation, and we had all of our equipment set up, and we were in one of the bedrooms belonging to some of the children, and we had our REM pod set up on the floor, and the REM pod triggered at one point during the evening, and it was on the floor because all the dressers and the bed and everything in the room had toys and museum like exhibits set up on them. So we had to put the REM pod on the floor, and the REM pod triggered. Now, initially, Trudy and I thought, because we're in the children's room, okay, it's one of the little boys has discovered the REM pod and he's playing with it. And then it was afterwards, somebody told us that there is actually a ghost cat in that house. And so then I got thinking, well, okay, now that makes more sense because the REM pod's on the floor.
Yeah, it happens.
And I now think it was this ghost cat walking up to it, trying to figure out what this is.
Thing, right?
And of course, as this cat broke the magnetic field around the REM pod, the device triggered.
Triggered the REM pod, yeah. And that's kind of an interesting thing because, we often get tied up in the humanity of, spirits. right? And we automatically think when we're on an investigation or we're, anywhere, because I know for me and Rachel, you're the same. It doesn't matter where we are. We don't have to be on
Yeah, that's true.
right?
Yes.
We sort of thinking we're feeling a past human, somebody who's left us. But often I've gotten animals, and I want to
Yes.
talk about just
Oh, yeah.
a reading that I did one time when we had our shop many years back. And these young girls came in. They were about 12. And there was 3 of them together, and it was part of a birthday party. And I don't usually read for kids, right? It's just, it's not something I do. But their mom and their dad, everything was okay, and they had permission, and the parents, well, the parent of the birthday girl was there. And I said to them, you can sit in the room with us and stay and listen, and we'll go around the table and do what I do. But what was so funny that day was because these were kids, and the oldest girl was 12, and I think one was 11, and the other one was younger than that, maybe 9. They didn't really have any, life experience per se that comes through like it does when you're an adult, when you're doing a reading, right? But the interesting thing is that one of the girls' pets came through. And that was so, I still remember it. I mean, it was such an unusual.
Yes.
And the reason being is it was a hamster.
Hamster? It's not expecting you to say. I don't know why. I instantly associate ghost, animal spirits like dogs or cats as being more likely to communicate.
And I just,
or even horses. It seems like those animals that are able to sort of have a connection with us humans, naturally. They take good care of them all, their whole life, that sort of thing. They seem to stay with us afterwards.
But think about it.
I wasn't expecting hamster.
It was like we did that dog,
hamster ghost,
a hamster, and it was her little hamster. And I had, I saw this little hamster in its cage, and I was telling her what color it was, and it was like it's a fawn colored hamster, and she's like, "How did you know that?" Like well, I can.
That's impressive. But how did it communicate, Seika? Did it squeak? Did it squeak at you?
Well, no, it didn't squeak, but it was just this envision I had of the cage with the little hamster. And apparently it had just died of old age. She had had it for about 4 months. It just passed away. But it's
something she'd made a connection with in life. That's why, it's that connection, it's that human connection.
Right? So I think that's probably the oddest one. I've had people who have come in and their dogs have come through, and yes, things like that. But a hamster was probably the oddest thing I've ever had come through on a reading. And it was kind of funny at the time, because the other girls were giggling and they were just thought, a hamster. They were so surprised by it too. And
it's such a unique detail, though. It's such a unique detail. I'm sure she appreciated that.
Well, she did. She thought it was really, she really obviously loved her little hamster. And I don't recall its name. She did mention its name at the time, but it was just one of those things where you can't really make that stuff up, right? It's not, you're sitting there reading.
No.
It's not did you have a cat or do you have a pet? And you're trying to, no, this was literally, I saw this little hamster in its cage, all snuggled up in its wood shavings. And, it was just one of those things where,
so cute.
Animals certainly have the ability to communicate to us, even hamsters. And so I think that, something like this photo, yes, a dog potentially. And apparently she did have a dog at some point in her life. Her mom told me that she had a dog, this gal's mother, who is a friend of mine.
Wow.
She said she does have a dog, but that was the very first thing she thought too, because she's like, Seika, I want you to look at this. She goes, I gotta
That's a
show this
dog.
to you. And so she showed me this photo and she goes, what do you think? And I'm
I see
looking at
it so clearly. I see the ears. Yeah.
I'm automatically thinking it's got to be a light reflection. As I said to Ian, right? It's got to be a light reflection. And the more I looked at it, and the more I looked at it, I'm like, this just is odd. So I asked her to email it to me, the photo, and she did. And then I said to her, do you mind if I share this out so that we can discuss this and, try to find some sort of, conclusion as to what it might be. So hence today it's on the show, and we've invited people on our YouTube to have a look at it and give us their opinion. But
yes, thank you for sharing the photo. Because it has caused a lot of debate, but that's what I love about these photos is it's up for debate. It's up for discussion.
That's it. And again, too, from your perspective, automatically you saw a dog, right? You feel it's a dog. Ian thought it was a dog just from his perspective. My husband,
you thought it was a dog? Yeah.
And,
And
the woman who shared the photo with me, she believed it was a dog as well. And I mean, I guess a conclusion could be that potentially it's a, spirit dog. But I'm still so intrigued by its shape, its form, the lack of being able to see anything through it, which is what causes me to think, that I can't explain what this is, because, technically,
if it was a reflection, you'd be able to see through it.
To some degree, like I said, that's
what I was
and
thinking.
like you mentioned earlier in the show, Seika, the bottom of the fireplace, is very visible. And then as soon as it hits this anomaly, you can no longer see the bottom of the fireplace because it's completely blocked.
Right. Yeah. You cannot see through the object, whatever it is. You cannot see through it. But what I'm also so intrigued by is this weird, is that truly a reflection of the ball of light that's on the ear side on the floor? Or is that some other weird reflection from some other object that we can't see? As I was saying to Ian, there's about a third of the fireplace missing there. So we don't know what's on the other side. But I can see the source of sunlight. So it's logically,
it's baffling.
Yes, logically, that's it would not create a hard object.
Yeah,
there isn't one.
No.
That's it.
It's just how bright it is. It's just how bright that dog-like shape is as well. The light.
I said to Ian, you can see the fireplace is on in the back, right? That fireplace is going, but
and I don't see a reflection. No,
it's just really odd,
crazy. I love it. I'm excited about this photo. Pass that on to your friend.
Right. No, I did discuss, and we are going to obviously share this, as I said, on our YouTube channel so that other people can have a look at it. And if there
definitely
is, some explanation, please feel free to share it with us. If there's something we're missing in all of our years of experience. And again, I don't preclude to know everything. So if there is something that we're not seeing, but see, Ian, right now, looking at you on camera, I can see when the sun is coming in.
Oh yeah, the light is on your face.
I've got a window right beside me. Yeah.
You can see that light coming, and it's reflecting, and then it's it's sort of diminishing as it in brightness as maybe a tree or a cloud or something is out there.
Well, I've got as I was speaking to you off camera before the show. It's kind of a mixture of sun and clouds today, and yes, there is a tree right outside the window, which is kind of fluctuating and filtering the sunlight.
I can see that. Like I have enough experience with this that I can tell exactly what's happening while the light is shining on your face, and it's quite bright right now.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
use me as
It
the
doesn't look like
example
that in the
from what
photo,
we're
though.
seeing right now live.
Yeah.
That is not
No.
what is in this photograph.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Ian. There's a definite shape,
Yes.
of a white shape,
Of-
a definite shape. And that's why I feel like it's a spirit. You know, that's how I feel.
I would love it if folks
Defined shape.
other images that they'd like to share with us, they can email us or touch base through
Yes.
we have the website, theghoshowonline.com. So you can visit there, you can share. We have a contact form. You have pictures, send them to us. We would love to be able to have this discussion about, other photographs. I think it's really intriguing. And, it's like, if you don't want your picture debunked and you don't like the answer, please don't send the photo in. But
I try to keep an open mind, but my head instantly went towards a dog, a spirit of a dog.
right. And
Yeah,
again,
that's exactly what I see, Rachel. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see the head,
Yeah.
you can see the floppy ear.
Yeah, you can see it
even the
defined,
shape
and
of
I've
the
never
body,
seen anything like
or,
it.
well, the quote body.
Right.
To me, it screams dog.
It's just really something that I'm very intrigued with. I will keep going back to this and picking at it. I may never know what the source is, but if there's other methods and ways that we can, try to debunk it, then that's what I do first, right? I mean, yes,
So you said she had a dog.
Yes.
So you said,
yeah, apparently she had a dog at one point, and
did she think that was the dog?
Well, I haven't spoken to her, just her mom who shared the photo with me, right? Who's a friend of mine, but her mother thought it was a spirit of a dog. That's what she's just, Seika, doesn't this look like a dog to you? And I was looking at it. Of course, immediately I'm like, I can see it, but then the other side of me wants to debunk it.
Yes.
Right. So, that's the conundrum of being on the fence. It's like I have this, metaphysical side, and then I have this, science that because I have a background in, I want to first debunk it before I jump to any conclusion that it is, of the paranormal nature. But I can't really debunk this.
No.
Can't debunk this one.
Thank you for watching The Ghost Show Online. Join your hosts again next week as they discuss more tales of the supernatural, the paranormal, and all things spectacular. See you soon.